This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network.
TalkSport. Powered by fans.
And Tunde! What a goal! It's absolutely world class from Marcus Tunde! Wrestling against Jones. Get in! Terrific goal! Is there time for a winner? Is there? Josh Windass!
Hello. Oh, whoa, just us two, Charlie. Hello and welcome, everyone. Hey, Charlie, all right? To a special edition of the Wednesday week. Yes, it's International Football Week, and we all love it, don't we? So we've got nothing to talk about, you'd think. No games to review from last week. Yes, we know we've got a game coming up on Saturday against Birmingham, but we thought we'd try something a little bit different. Oh, hang on, everyone's joining us now. Look. Hey, John. So we're going to talk about anything you want to talk about. So please just message in whatever you want. I'm not going to say no holds barred, but that may be opening us up there, Charlie. John, what do you reckon? So any questions, anything, anyone, let us know. We're just here for a chat on a Monday night. We've got nothing else better to do. How is everyone? Are we all right? We'll start there. Are you all right, Charlie?
Yeah, not too bad. It's boring, isn't it, when there's no football on? But at the same time, there's nothing to get miserable about. So it's like a weird. You can't lose if you don't play. So
this is a very good point, Charlie. But there you go. It's like we should all be happy, but we're not happy because there's no football. But there's international football, but no one cares about it. John, you all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. Thanks, mate. Get a bit closer. Yeah, I agree with Charlie there. It's international breaks. They're a bit of a pain, aren't they? Even if you're not playing well, you still can't replicate the feeling of club football. In England, I don't really care when they're in knockout tournaments. I don't care about these friendlies and these Nations League games or whatever they call them these days. It's just not the same. But yeah, you can't, like you say, you can't lose if you're not playing. Right. Yeah, happy we're back to football, proper football.
Oh yes, it's coming up. Right. So tonight I'm going to open up with the first one, and believe it or not, it's come from within the group. So obviously, if we get more comments and people asking questions, we'll go on. But this is it, because we are a serious podcast. Everyone knows this. We take everything so seriously. Hey up, Simon. Nice to join us.
I don't know what happened there, but hello.
So the first question is: Would you rather fight a Bannon-sized New Who or 3 New Who-sized Bannons? Come on, everyone! Look, this is the sort of highbrow. No wonder we don't get awards nominations and stuff like that. Isn't it? Questions like this.
It'd be like, are they far away?
Yeah. Go on then, John. Quick one for you. Would you rather fight
New Hugh? A Bannon-sized New Hugh.
Imagine that.
Yeah, he'd never land on me because he couldn't hit a barn door with a banjo, could he? So I'd be all right.
Get past the first man. I'd let you stand in front of me, John, because you won't be able to get past the first man. So you'd do that. Charlie, what about you?
Right, just one more time. Is it one big Bannon or 3 little New Years?
It's one big Bannon or 3 little New Years.
I take the little New Years because I think Bannon's got like he may be small, but I think he's got kind of like a menacing edge. And you put that in a bigger person, I think that could be dangerous. Whereas I feel like Big Dave didn't actually have that much threat. So if you reduce him down, I think it'd be quite cute. And I just, take him home. Like you could farm him out. Like it'd be quite cute, that I think. So yeah, second option.
Go on then, Simon. One for you.
I'm with Charlie, to be honest. I think the 5 little New Years would be like Oompa Loompas from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So you could set your own little chocolate factory at home and they'd be happy at just making you chocolate. And they'd be really shit at the start. And then when the contract was about to run out, they'd be really good at making chocolate.
Oh, I like it.
I realise we're saying like Oompa size, but we did just say like I guess we said they were Bannon size, and we've turned them into like tiny little people.
Yeah, painted the faces orange.
Sorry, Barry,
Like
if you're listening, I know you're not, but sorry about that. Reducing you to the size of a what was the TV show with the little Borrowers. Yeah. Right, that's the silly stuff. Come on, let's think. So obviously, serious stuff is that obviously the position we're in at the minute, it's not great. So there's a couple of things that we could talk about. I mean, I think we had a question earlier. I think if you could choose one player to go into this current team to help out, who would it be? So obviously the predicament we're in. You can go as far back as you want. Obviously, Simon will go further back than Charles, but come on, Simon. It's a staple now with the. But yeah, one player from past Sheffield Wednesday to drop into this team that'll help us out of this. I know who I'd want, so I'm going to go on. John, I'll go with you first.
No brainer for me to be David Hirst all day and twice on Sundays. I mean, he's just the main problem we've got right now. We can't score goals, and so he slots somebody like David Hirst into who's one of the best strikers we've ever had at the club. Left foot, right foot, headers. He had no weaknesses to his game. The only weakness he had was his looking after himself off the pitch. He was just the most polished striker I think we'll see or ever see. To be honest, it was amazing, and he'd help us get some goals. That's for sure. So that'd be my pick.
Yeah. Charlie, your pick.
I'm going to go the other way. So I'm going to think, rather than getting someone really good in, I'm going to go instead of getting someone in really good, I'm going to go, can you hear me?
Yeah, go on. You're all right.
Yep.
Oh.
Got a bit max headroom there.
Oh, no.
It's going well.
All right, well,
like and subscribe, folks.
It's going really well. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
No, yes.
I'm sorry.
Go.
I'm back.
Go.
I'm back. Right. So it's not even worth the fucking gag at this point. Right. So I was going to say we should get Paolo Pesci back in, because rather than going for someone really good, we need to bring someone in shit because it'll make everyone else look better. Rather than get someone in good, you need to get someone else in so we can have a new scapegoat and then everyone else will up the game. Big brain thinking.
Wow.
So I'm glad you all waited for that.
Yeah, you've got a different angle there, Charlie. I like it. Go on inside.
Right, this isn't somebody from my youth, because believe it or not, I wasn't born, but Derek Dooley, striker. So at the end of the day, I've just been Googling him because I don't really remember him. But he scored 62 goals in 61 appearances.
Yeah, so he had Messi, Ronaldo type goal ratio, didn't he?
Yeah, so stick that in your day. I'll give you David Hirst and raise it because he'd be what we need at the moment, is somebody who can score some goals. So Derek Dooley.
Well, Matt's gone with Waddle, even at his age now.
No.
So I like that, Matt. But I'll tell you what, you could go different. David Hirst, I totally agree. The goals that Derek Dooley, you're looking at the goals to games ratio, looking at someone who actually could put the ball. But I think Waddle in his prime, I'd take that as well. I would. I mean, this is not circling the type of football we'd be playing. It probably wouldn't.
Just thinking about that though, Ash. Can you imagine? We all knew what. If you didn't watch him live or he weren't from your area, you can look it up on YouTube. He used to drop his shoulder and make people look silly, and then he puts a beautiful cross in, and you can't miss until you realise he's put it on for Ashley Fletcher, and then it's just.
Oh, come on!
So that's why I think for Waddle.
That's why. I mean, if I'm just going to keep rattling off questions to you because I mean, why not? Anyone, like to keep saying, anyone getting a question for any of these guys or myself or anything about Sheffield Wednesday? If you could have 10 minutes with Danny Rule to offer any sort of advice, what advice would it be?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Great question.
Yeah. Have you got that? Have you got that ticking right? Go on then, Simon. I can see you're going to come up with a pearl of wisdom. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Mute. Yeah. There you go. That's my pearl of wisdom. Silence. The guy knows 100 times more than I know about football. Christ.
No, I'm just saying, like, I don't know.
I'm just thinking he's got to have patience, and the trouble is that it can become very toxic. I think we've obviously got toxicity sort of brewing at the moment in other avenues that, in my opinion, shouldn't be brought into the stadium. We need to be concentrating on supporting the team through the thick and thin. So I think it'd be patience, because at the moment the fans are well on side, but it only takes another 3 or 4 Millwalls, and then things will turn. So and also as well, probably patience with the chairman, being able to talk to the chairman, because he's a very difficult man, I would imagine, to deal with.
No, come on.
Simon.
He's a pussy cat.
Well, I'm sure we'll get onto the chairman in a bit. But Charlie, go on for you.
Yeah, don't be afraid to be brutally honest in interviews. Like, fans know what, fans know everything and fans know nothing, of course we do, but like we don't need to be pacified when we've just lost 3-0. Like, we don't be afraid to be honest about the state of how things are, because I think people do find that refreshing. And just don't lose sight of that game plan. Like, at the moment, even though we haven't got the results on the pitch, we can see the plan, we can see the improvement, we can see those little changes that come in. We don't lose faith in that plan when it's moving in the right direction. Don't start spinning the wheel, because even with Moore, we had a bit of that. Like, there were still times when it was like, really, everything was going well, why are we chopping and changing? And like I say, fans, we do know nothing, and he obviously is infinitely more experienced than us, but don't be afraid to be like, just say it how it is, because I think we're Wednesdayites, we're very hardened and traumatized. Like, we'll rather accept the cold hard truth than a load of floundering, I think. Oh, also he needs to eat more because he's got right skinny little legs. But apart from that,
well, if that's the bit of advice I could probably give him about eating. I mean, I'm managing myself about that. So, John, what about you? What pearl of wisdom from John would Danny Rule accept and take on board?
I think I would say he's obviously got some fantastic contacts in the game. We know where he's come from. We know who he's worked with. I would say if you've got that influence on the chairman already, knowing that the people that you know and what potentially you could lure into the club, for God's sakes, go and try and get a real top-notch recruitment guy, so that you can build for the team in each eventuality. So if we don't stay up, you've got a team that can come roaring back. If we do stay up, you can get a team that can push on. And so use your influence and your contacts to get the best man we can get in to start rebuilding the club in your image. That's what I would say to him.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hot topic at the moment, isn't it? It's been well documented the last week or two that the recruitment, scouting recruitment guy, whatever it is, that's is not there, is it? I think he's left. So, and they haven't replaced him. So it's going to be a hard thing, especially coming up January. And we know at the minute January is looking like it could be a make or break. Because we've got 7 games left till the January, I think it is. It's 7 games, 21 points. It could be starting to look a bit dire even before January.
You can't tell me though that the team that he's slowly putting together in the management team haven't got contacts. If you look at Chris Powell, I mean, he must have more contacts than the majority of recruitment consultants or whatever. If you look at the guy who, didn't we have the guy from West Brom after the guy we had before went to Blackpool? I mean, he did a fantastic job in the summer, didn't he? I mean, if you look at what shite he signed, it's. I really do think that. I think we're making, or the press are making too much out of it. I do think that with his the foreign contacts that Danny's probably got, and also Chris Powell, there's a great start there already, foundation there already to recruiting players. So I'm not actually that worried about bringing a recruitment guy on board because I don't actually see the huge amount of benefits from the people we've had in the past. Alman Abdi, Jordan Rhodes, people like that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Like I said, it's transfers, January. We might as well stick on that for a second. Loan players. We've got quite a couple of players on loan that really haven't stacked up yet. Do we get rid of them in January? Do we try and persevere with them? We haven't really seen a great deal of Ashley Fletcher. I know he's the one that stands out, isn't it? But even Davis Vasquez is not getting in, even for what Cameron Dawson has or hasn't done. You'd expect a goalkeeper who's come on loan to be playing week in, week out, wouldn't you? So, what's your thoughts on that, Charlie?
I do wonder. It's interesting you should mention the keeper because he seemed to get dropped when he'd had this sick bug, and you go, okay, and then he's sort of not come back in, and you're like, is he still sick? Like, what exactly? It's, and so there's something there that you're like, what's not gelling, what's not working? Because I'm no Dawson Slater, but you have to look at what's happened recently. And there's been enough reason to drop him as there's been to keep him, if that makes sense. And so you think again, like Vasquez came in, he walked in straight in, he was there in place of Dawson, gets diarrhea, never plays for us again. Just something seems a bit off there. And I don't know, like, is it because they've got sites elsewhere? Is he not happy with something? Was he ever sick? Or I don't know, like a little bit tinfoil hat, like there's just something about that doesn't work for me. But if he doesn't potentially come back in, then is that maybe where we're looking? Are we then looking for a keeper? Are we actually thinking that that we don't already have what we're looking for? But I don't know. Is it benchitis? Has he just got chronic benchitis? Because I don't know.
Got the runs and scarpered off back to Bogota. That's what it was.
Literally.
Well, on the thing, we've had a question in. Should we try and get players in January to keep us up, or do we just start building for League One again? Ooh, that's one. That's where probably the next 8 games could decide that. Do you reckon?
We've already got League One players.
That was the problem, isn't it? The team was built to get out of League One, but then they brought Cisco in, and the signings didn't improve us at all. I mean, they're just passengers, aren't they? Really, the ones that we've signed. And now you can't exactly go and sign another 7. But in terms of loan players, that we've got 5 on the books, haven't we? I mean, there's an argument to say you could send all 5 back, really, and source. I'd rather source 3 quality loans and address the spine of the team, which I always think is a good thing to do when you're in a league above. This is get your centre half, your centre mid, and then the striker that scores the goals. Easier said than done. And the problem we've got is everyone thinks, okay, January the 1st comes around, and all of a sudden we can sign this guy, that guy, other guy, but we can't until the end of January, because that's when most of the deals are done, when teams are finalising the squads and agreeing to let players go out on loan. So
what's that? Another 4 or 5 games into it as well.
Yeah,
think about it.
I think if it's any more than, I think to be honest, I think it needs to be under 10 points for us to try and bring players in to still think we've got a chance. If it's more than 10, I think we're starting to look to build to the future and accepting his fate, and then just trying to get players that can bring us straight back.
The problem you've got is what is the long-term plan? Really, the management team, if they're going to stay, if we do get relegated, I think you've got to have one eye on trying to stay up, because apparently there's new TV deals coming in the Championship, which is a significant amount of money. Can the club endure another relegation to League One with a cut in finances again? We're already being told that finances are very poor, and obviously there's going to be a lot of people who aren't going to buying season tickets at overinflated prices to watch League One football. I think I agree with John. I personally, I think the only player I would probably keep out of them, who I think has a flash of it could be a good player, would be Buckley. The rest, I would definitely. I know it's a contentious one, Ash, because we both discussed him numerous times. But I think there is a player in there. I don't necessarily think he's been played in the right positions. But Hendricks, Fletcher. I think Momo Diaby's on loan. I would keep him. I think is he on loan, Momo Diaby?
Yeah, he is actually.
Yeah, I mean,
obviously, 42 minutes of him.
The 42 minutes.
I know,
was probably the best 42 minutes of any player we've seen playing in a blue and white shirt this season. So you've got to look at. I mean, I'm hoping. I know he's not because he's not part of the named team. I'd probably look at keeping him as well, but I think I agree with Charlie. Really, the keeper. I think that maybe he might have his sights on somebody else to bring in.
But then would that, Simon, on the keeper, would that mean Rule's got to make a decision? Will Dawson be his number one and he's going to bring in a backup keeper, or will he say no, bring in a new number one who's going to be the number one?
Yes.
Because at the minute it's like, I think we've seen out with Dawson. I'm not in the Dan Fudge camp. I'm not in it gives him absolute hell, doesn't it? I do reckon there is a half decent keeper in there, but he's a confidence keeper.
Definitely.
And maybe he's got to play games to get that confidence, but he just happens to drop a rick. I alluded
to this last week in the podcast. Yeah. I think the standard of goalkeepers in the Championship has moved on since we were last in it, and I know it's only 2 years, but I think the influence of keepers in the Premiership has come down into the Championship now. That actually keeper in the Premiership is a 12th man. He's more than a keeper.
Sweeper keeper.
Yeah, and I don't think Cameron Dawson has those abilities. Unfortunately, I think a League One keeper, he's ideal.
He's a chimney sweeper.
Yeah, he's old-fashioned First Division football goalkeeper, and that will suit League One. But I think the Championship, honestly think that if we're to move on and stay in the Championship, then Cameron Dawson has to move on as well. And I'm not in Dan's camp either. I think he's a decent keeper, just not a Championship keeper.
I think a lot of it depends what else you get on the pitch as well. I know this is going to sound a bit like I'm just making excuses for him, but if you invest solidly in your keeper and he's consistently getting game time, those kind of keepers, they don't get subbed out. You don't even think about your number two because that's your guy. That's your Westwoods, like your safe pair of hands, like you know, that's your guy. And if you don't have that, what you very much need is your guys at the other end bashing the goals in. Because if you haven't got that, and I'm being a bit obvious here, but I guess what I mean is how often is the Dawson fluff or the possible Dawson error in that like 75th minute when we're 0-0 and it's all a bit like shit, and that that confidence, that panic wouldn't matter as much if we were 2-0 up. And I think there's a lot to be said for, yes, obviously when we're in League One, he was our first choice, like he was in there, and it's a different standard. But equally, we were resilient in our goal scoring, and we were resilient in what was happening away from him. Yeah. So is it that you actually invest a lot more going forward and you worry less about what you're doing at the back, and at least then you're smashing them in, because we are playing that kind of high, heavy intensity football under Rule, that suits the idea of trying to get 2-0 up by half time? Or do you pull it right back and you make your keeper a real focus, but acknowledge that ultimately you can't win games just by not conceding? And I don't know. I feel for Dawson in that. I feel like the mistakes he makes always seem to be around the time when we've all switched off anyway. And I don't want to make excuses for him, but I also think that, if he was the greatest keeper in the world, he wouldn't be playing in League One or in the Championship. So he's what we've got.
So you're saying not just confidence in Dawson himself, but he's a confidence player with the team he's playing with as well. Because obviously, of course it does. Yeah, the other 10 players does affect the goalkeeper, because if they're not putting in the effort or they're not producing to score the goals, then
well, that's it. Like they're missing their chances early on, and fair enough. But then when it comes down to him fluffing his chance, he's the devil, and he's cost us the game. He's cost the game. What? He's cost the game, not the 85 minutes you guys have had to pop one in top bins. He's cost us the game right towards the end. And yeah, I'm not saying that there's not the errors there, but if you're relying exclusively on your goalkeeper to win a game, you've got some serious problems elsewhere. And so I would understand if someone better came in and he got dropped, and I would understand that. And I think to a certain extent Dawson would understand that. Well, he wasn't our first choice last time we were in the Championship. He did play second fiddle a lot of the time, but you can blame him for what's his, but you can't it can't all come down to that goalkeeper. I don't think.
I think Matt's just put a message. Dawson needs quality competition, which I think he's got. Vasquez, I do. He's not played any minutes for AC Milan, but as Blair, a fan of this, member of this podcast, is also a fan. I think that says that because Gassama played, what was it, 2 minutes with
PSG.
PSG, sorry.
On Messi on the pitch, he's a world beater. So. I think Vasquez, I think he gives him that competition. I really do. Unless you're right, Charlie, and whatever's happened behind the scenes and he just don't fancy him and Dawson's number one.
It's odd because since Dawson's been put back at number one, if you watch at half time when the subs are warming up, Vasquez is just sort of doing keepy uppies by himself. There doesn't seem to be anybody taking him in goal and doing any warm-ups or anything like that. There's no real involvement, which I find really weird.
Very weird.
And I find that weird.
Haven't we gone back to Nicky Weaver temporarily as goalkeeper coach? It's another position we're trying to fill, isn't it? And I think Rule wants his own guy, and he wants Weaver to go back to under 21s and work with them. But obviously, it's another position that we're trying to fill in on his backroom staff. And I think he started off okay, and he brought in Sasha Lense and. One or two others, but there's still a couple of gaps there that he's hoping to fill, isn't there? And one of them would be goalkeeper coach, which before him it was that. I don't know why we got rid of that, but Basso or Bassano, whatever they call it.
He's gone to Huddersfield, hasn't he?
He was part of Moore's crew,
He's part of Moore's crew then, But he seemed decent enough. But
it came across those on pre-matches that with Dawson, Stockdale, Basso, it seemed like they had quite a good goalkeeper union, didn't they? And it was commented quite a few times that Stockdale was warming Dawson up pre-match and helping out, and probably obviously practicing his bit of coaching that he's no doubt going to go into. But exactly like I said, it does seem that it's very fragmented. And if that is because obviously a lack of goalkeeping coach and someone to obviously get them all together, and Pierce Charles as well. It can only be good. Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? Goalkeepers are a funny. Goalkeepers are mental, aren't they? You have to be mental to be a goalkeeper because everything's always your fault, and you have to be quite crackers. But I remember on one of the episodes of Welcome to Wrexham, they got this whole bit about the keepers, and it was they're vying for that first choice spot, and part of that vying is you kind of supporting as the number two. You're really bigging up the number one, even though you kind of want his job. You're also there to make him think he's the absolute man, and you're really building that up, and he goes on to that, absolutely cracked up, I could do it sort of thing. So it's, if you don't really have that, your goalkeeper's just on their own, aren't they? They're not, they're part of the squad, but they're not part of the squad. They're not training the same way. And if we've not got that unity, that idea that Vasquez still champions Dawson even when he's not getting picked and stuff like that, I don't know. There's something a bit off there, and I don't know.
Yeah. I know we're saying about. Simon didn't agree with you, Charlie.
Well, if you can't handle it, get out the kitchen.
If obviously there is football going on tonight, and we've just seen that England are losing 1-0, so that's great, isn't it?
Oh, we're really worried football weren't going to upset me this week. Oh,
we
might not
qualify. Oh no!
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah, 1-0 to Ennis Bardi has scored. Rebound from the penalty. So they had a penalty rebound for anyone who's listening who really had one. Here we go. Friend of the show. Here we go. Oh, it's him. Bloody gets where Watter done, doesn't he? Keep one, sell one. and I give one a 5-year contract tomorrow. Oh, Stevie.
Who's he talking about? The five mini banners?
Us. No, us. He's talking about us. Cheeky sod. Well, I'll give myself a 5-year contract if that's all right. But no, keep one, sell one, 5-year contract. I tell you what, I'll give. Who can go first? Go on, Charlie. I'll let you go first. Keep one, sell one, and keep one long term. Keep one and 5-year contract is same. I would imagine.
What?
Keep one, sell one.
Which players?
Keep
players?
one. Who won? Which one? Who won?
Whoever you want.
Ooh,
Whoever
don't you
you
need
want.
to give me a choice between 3? Isn't it like Snog, Marry, Kill?
Oh God! Oh yeah, hang on. He's done it. Thing.
Just
give
any football
Musaba.
players.
You've got 3. You've got Musaba,
Musaba.
Deschamps, Bernard. Come on, Steve. Here's another one.
Liam Palmer.
I'll throw in there. No, not that. We'll say George Byers.
Right. Okay. That's so harsh. Right.
Musaba,
Deschamps.
Bernard,
Right.
and Byers.
Musaba. Right.
Yeah.
5-year contract or long-term contract.
Long-term contract for Musaba.
I like him. I think he's got a bit of magic to him. I think there's something there that you could really build on. I'm going to sell Bernard just because if you sell Byers, I don't think you'd get as much for him for what he already has in the team. Like, I must admit, I mean, I absolutely love George Byers. I absolutely do. I think he struggled a little bit from some of the little bits I've seen. There's been a couple, but who hasn't? We've all struggled, us included. But but I think what he already adds to the squad that he knows and everything, I'd be keeping him. And I think I'm not trying to sound horrible. I think you'd make more money off Deschamps than you would George. So that's my answer. Oh, that was evil.
Same 3 players. Because I'd have to agree completely with Charlie there. It'd be a toss-up between Dijon and Musaba. Which one you would sell? I would look at what their market value is. You wouldn't be looking at selling George because he's in the twilight of his career, I would suggest.
Into like 28.
The twilight of his career. Bit like me, mate. Yeah. I'm a massive fanboy for George Byers. Like Charlie said, he's not had the best of seasons, but he missed a lot at the end of last season as well. So that might be a hangover from that. And it's not exactly been an auspicious start by any player, the start of this season. So I would keep George and then look at one of the 2. I like, to be honest, I actually think that Dijon might be the one to keep and not Musaba. Musaba has got those little sparks of something exciting, but I think Dijon, for a young lad, has got a really mature head on his shoulders and looks a really, really good defender. Put him next to somebody who's a little bit more mature, somebody who talks, not Diaby, not Iorfa, unfortunately. He needs to be next to a Glenn Louvens type player, I think. And it would really come on. I think he's the one I would keep, and I'd probably look at selling Musaba.
Right. John?
I think I like Byers like we all do, but he does miss a lot of game time. And for that reason, I don't think you can count on the resiliency of a player like George. So reluctantly, I'd sell George. I love Musaba's promise, but right now it's just still promise, and we're not sure where it's going to go. Hopefully, it's going to go really well. We've got an asset on his hands. It's really tough because I'd want to get out of the 5-year contract at this point in time. I'd get Bernard, and then just keep Musaba and sell Byers. I think,
yeah, I'm with you, John, on that one. I'm a massive George Byers fan, but obviously this season and exactly what he said is you can't in history you can't rely on him playing your 40 games, 35 games, can you? No. And I think he's really He's really integral to the team. But I'm going to say something Sheffield Wednesday haven't been very good at doing is keeping the youth and developing them. So I'd say the same. But I'd probably go either Bernardo or Musaba on the keep one or a long-term contract, because I think they're both, if way we go in and we can develop them, I think they'll both be worth a couple of million, millions anyway, because not just purely just the market that we're at, that any decent championship player is going to be worth a few million. So I'm going with that. That was a very good question, Stevie. Cheers, mate. Thank you very much for that. So if you've seen, we're going off some tangents here and everything. I'm just thinking of things I've seen in social media over the last couple of weeks. Is the old question about, and it's not going to happen, but we'll talk about it to past 5 minutes. Moving the stadium or moving stadiums. Yeah, you like this one, Charlie. Are you for it or are you against it? Pros and cons are evident for everybody. But go. No, go on, Charlie. You're shaking your head. No.
If it falls to bits, call it a day. Do you know? Like, there comes a certain point where...
about stadium or me?
Yes. I think there comes a point where we're looking for any solution except the bigger issues, aren't we? And I get it. I understand that, we're starting to get to the point where the old stadiums are becoming the old stadiums, and before you know it, it is a museum, and you're literally visiting the site of where it used to be. And I do get that, but until you actually have to, and until you actually would, and until you've got a real genuine plan to do that, why? And now, really, any time in the next 5 years is it's not our priority. And also, it's Hillsborough. You're allowed to be extremely nostalgic and wistful about the literal spiritual home of your football club. I'll wax lyrical about players that other people say are shit. I've got New EU posters up on my wall. I don't give a monkeys. You could call it whatever. The one thing you are definitely allowed to be about is the stadium that that has been there and stood the test of time, and that everyone's got the memories there. And I just think that these new flash stadiums, they've got no heart, they've got no history. We literally at that point might as well be like, with the Red Bull Owls and we're with this, that and the other, and Aussie's now just a giant tin can, and it's all fun. Because if all we're trying to do is become the flashiest club in the world, then fine, go and support the flashiest clubs, go and at a certain point you're literally selling your souls. And unless it's falling to bits, I think it's a shit idea, and I'm happy to say that. Strike me down if I'm wrong, but I don't care.
Simon, you're agreeing with Charlie there?
Absolutely, 100%. 100%. Why saddle ourselves with humongous debt? A club that's struggling to stay afloat with its current stadium, with a humongous debt of built. I mean, I'm working on the new Everton Stadium in Liverpool, a team that looked like they could be relegated from the Premiership, that they've been building for 2 years now. They're going to have a huge debt around their shoulders for the sake of moving from a stadium that holds 40,000 to one that holds 55,000. Why would we do that? Do people wax lyrical about the New York Stadium? Do they wax lyrical about Pride Park? We've been to a lot of them, and they're soulless. They're empty. Coventry City sold Highfield Road. They built the Rico. The Rico is owned by the council and Tesco's. That was the only way they could actually fund it. The Rico is now owned by Mike Ashley now, but was bought by Wasps and Renterton. They were playing at Birmingham City's ground. They were playing at Sixfield, Northampton Stadium. We've got, if you remember, if you cast your mind back when we were bidding for the World Cup a few years ago, which ended up going to Russia for some reason. Exactly. There were plans afoot for knocking down the Leppings Lane stand and building a stand there, which would hold a community college in it as well. There's a huge amount of real estate there and land that the club can and could redevelop. It's steeped in history. It's a foresight. However much people joke about it being called the Rust Bucket and stuff like this, the number of away fans who come and sit in that away and look at it and go, this is what a good old-fashioned... There's only one stadium I've been to over our travels over the last few years that I've thought as a new stadium is any good was MK Dons Stadium, Milton Keynes Stadium. And I thought that was a really nice, well-designed stadium.
Them, isn't it?
Yeah.
But this is it.
It's, from a history point of view, it's about as old as the club is. So I mean,
exactly. So it's steeped in history.
Steeped in history.
It's not. No, it's definitely not for me.
No,
full stop. And you can guarantee if Chansiri went, I'm going to build a stadium next to Meadow Hall in 10 years' time when it's all gone to shit, he'll be to blame for that as well. Despite all these people saying, "Oh, we need a new stadium," because it's the magic silver bullet.
We've had a comment saying, do you not think that the upkeep of the ground is financially harming us? Because no doubt it is expensive.
But what about the upkeep of paying £100 million to have a stadium built? These things aren't cheap.
My house needs decorating. It's not cheaper to buy another house.
No. Exactly. They aren't going to build a stadium, a new stadium. They've got to buy the ground. They've got to apply permission. Then they've got to build the stadium. There are stadium contractors going bust because they can't build them for the money that they're being asked to build them for. Hence, Buckingham Group, Anfield, Fulham. These stadiums have got stands that they can't even put people in because they're not finished. And it'd just be another elephant, a white elephant. It'd just be
a golden one.
Yeah, rather than a golden. These things aren't cheap. So if you've got issues, invest the money in Hillsborough.
If you're paying all this money for season tickets, you want to be sat in a nice seat, don't you?
I am where I sit.
So sandwich. John, what's your thoughts on the stadium?
Yeah, I love Hillsborough. I've always lived very close to it all my life, so it's home for me. But I do wonder if it comes to a point where it might be more viable to build a new stadium than renovate Hillsborough. I'm not saying that's my choice, by the way, but I just wonder when we don't really know, like you said, mentioned maintenance costs and what it would actually do to bring it up to like a Premier League stadium if we ever got back there, and I just do wonder if personally, I don't think Chansiri will ever build a new stadium. I don't think he'll ever go back to the Premier League, to be honest. So I don't think a stadium issue will be an issue under his tenure. But should anyone come along and buy us and look at it, I wouldn't want to see us move, but I could kind of understand if they did, if it's just going to be more financially viable but I'd hate to see it. I'd hate to move from Hillsborough, but I don't know. I mean, lots of Arsenal moved from Highbury, didn't they? Tottenham moved from White Hart Lane. They must have, Sunderland moved from Roker Park, and all these other fans of other clubs would surely have had strong affinities to their stadiums before moving, and perhaps the majority of them didn't want it to happen. So I think it's a realisation that it could be something that happens down the line, and we might see it. I don't know whether it'll be 10 years, 50 years, but it could be a reality one day. But yeah, personal choice. I'd love to renovate it. You remember when they got the World Cup bid, and we've got the funding, hadn't we? And we've got like a artist's impression of what Hillsborough was going to look like. England should have won that bid, to be honest. We got by far the best bid. And I thought the plans drawn up looked absolutely brilliant. I thought it made Hillsborough, it filled all the corners in, but it retained its look and it modernised it. I thought it looked fantastic. But, FIFA being FIFA just took the backhander and we didn't get the bid. We didn't win the bid. And that would have been part funded by the council as well. So it would have been
would have been a massive help, wouldn't it?
The sad excuse me.
I was going to move on, but Beth's just come in with speak of the stadium. I'm surprised DC hasn't named it the Chansiri Stadium yet to advertise his brand to get around FFP. I'm sure he would have thought about it. Yeah. I'm sure he would if he could have pumped another 10 million in or anything like that.
There's been a goal at the tuna can.
But yeah, I'm sure his advisors would have said something. But I mean,
isn't that
fans
part
don't
of why,
like his name going on the seats, do they? So I'm
isn't
sure
that
they'd
part of
hate
why
it.
he's put the names on the seats though, and on the North stand?
Yeah.
I'm sure that was some part to show that he's put money into the club, even though a lot of it has been, he's done it because you know he's a narcissist.
Creative accounting, isn't it?
He's created a reason
Yeah.
for showing to it's a way of beating FFP in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Right. But one thing that they did say quickly before you move on is that the independent regulator, which looks like coming in, one of the things that they're going to make a law, make a rule, as you will, is that if the new owner comes in, he's got to consult fans about changing the badge, changing the colours, doing anything like, so because Chanchu didn't really consult, did he? He just changed the old owl to the stylised owl to the previous owl badge, and obviously we lost the stripes for a couple of seasons, didn't we, as well? So things like that need to be. I think fans need a voice there.
Yeah, I think the whole city had it, didn't they, a couple of years ago? Or did they want to make them the whole Tigers or something like that? And I think obviously with the Red Bull thing, and that's a non-starter for me. All that crap. They do like to come in and give their 2 pennies worth to the name.
I think there's a fine line there. There isn't. I understand if you're going to start, we're going to start playing in Red Bull colours and stuff like that. Then obviously there's an issue there, but. And I think, was it the Cardiff chairman wanted to change the Cardiff City shirts from, was it blue to red?
Yeah, they did for one season.
He did do it, yeah.
And that sort of thing, obviously, it's part of your tradition. It affects your tradition. But I think if we start getting people involved with, so for example, when we went from stripes to the blue shirt with the white sleeves, that was a historic colour. We'd had that in the past.
Oh, yeah.
If we start getting fans on board who start nitpicking every time we slightly change a badge or, a home shirt comes out with too much gold on, I'm more interested in actually the running of the clubs and the actual way the clubs are actually put together. He can tinker all he's like with how a shirt looks as long as we keep having blue and white stripes. Because we had the barcode shirt. Jesus, I mean, imagine if the internet had been around when we had the barcode shirt in the 90s.
But that's it, innit? Like when he threatens and he talks crap and stuff, and he's like, in National League, you'll follow it in National League, and you go, yeah. Because isn't it? It's like, yeah, you look at something like Twitter, which is so polarizing anyway, but or you listen to whoever sits behind my dad at match or whatever, going on about it. And there's as many people love the change of the badge as don't, and there's as many people defend the stripeless shirts, and those kind of little things are one thing. But when you start talking about changing the name, the colour, the stadium, they're the kind of things where it's like, yes, obviously you've got to move with the times and you've got to, you've got to account for things and finance stuff. But this is what makes football different to anything else, what makes your club different to anything else. And it infuriates me when it's like, would you rather see your club playing in the National League than playing as the Red Bull such and such in the Premier League? You bet your ass I would. 1,000,000%. I'd rather we stayed in the Rust Bucket and played in the National League and stayed as the club than just became this whole new thing to be profitable. By that logic, you might as well be like, entirely change the concept of what you're going for and what the history is, and it could just be any. You might as well support any team, watch any football, and it's stuff like that just drives me, as you can tell, right up the wall. Not a fan.
Not a fan. So I think that's a unanimous thing. We'll keep Hillsborough then, yeah. Right.
Yes, please.
We've got another question. We'll going back. What do you think attracted Danny Rule and his elite team of backroom staff to come to Sheffield Wednesday? It's a mystery to me. Right, bit of Cluedo going on here. Let's play a game. I imagine, and I'll just my 30 seconds worth. I imagine it's his first opportunity for a manager's job. His pedigree that you look at where he's been assistant manager. I don't know why he's not been offered before. Something. I know he's just come out of a job with the national team, so maybe the timing was great. I don't know. I really don't. It's a weird one for me. He's plucked him out of. I'm not going to say nowhere, but for the EFL for English football, plucked him out of nowhere. What do you guys think? What do you think, John? Start with you. What do you think attracted Danny Rule to come to little old Sheffield?
It could be a number of things, really. I mean, it could be something as simple as his agent and Amadou Paxo know each other, or
Whoa! No swearing on this podcast. Thank you very much.
Or it might be that he's seen his fellow countrymen like Daniel Farke and David Wagner have success in the Championship with clubs, taking them to promotions. He may have heard of us from just. We always think like with some kind of Premier League and never to be heard of again. But these international coaches and that they know of teams, and he said he knew of us before in a big club. I mean, it might even just be from the time we played in the. Remember we played Kaiserslautern. I mean, he'd probably been a kid then, wouldn't he? But there might be footage of that, and it could be a number of reasons. It's a big opportunity. We're still a big club despite everything that's going on, and I know that's hard to believe sometimes because it's just misery after misery, isn't it? Since we fell out of the Premier League in 2000, but we still sell away followings consistently every game. We still get 20,000 at home, more if we're doing well. Big club, big stadium, great opportunity for your first break in management. And if you get it right here, you honestly your profile will be through the roof because if you get this club back to Premier League, my God, you're going to be like. You're going. That's something to stick on your CV for sure.
I don't even think to Premier League. He just survives this season after the start we've had. I think
if he keeps us up. Wow.
Yeah. Simon, what do you think? Danny Rule, does he just like fancy a pork sandwich, or do you think he likes a pint of Thornbridge?
He heard that there was a Berries up the road. I have to agree with John. I think there's still bound to say this because I've got blue and white striped spectacles on, but I think there's still a huge draw from Sheffield Wednesday. I think we just in the uniqueness of our name, it is that we are known because of our name. We Ted Lasso referred to us in the first series. It is when we played Peterborough. There were American sports broadcasters going on about Sheffield Wednesday. We're not United. We are a club that has its own sort of character that no other club has got, and we're well known. And despite the fact that the stadium's a rust bucket and this, that, and the other, it's still a big historic stadium. We've held FA Cup semis there. We've had the Euros there, the '66 World Cup qualifying games there. So he would have been aware of us before he actually came through his time in England at Southampton. Just for the fact is, what is that strange club called Sheffield Wednesday? Why is a club called Wednesday? What that's really odd, to the German psyche, who have got some really strange names for some of their clubs. We stand out amongst everybody, and I know that sounds quite sort of, I'm bigging it up, but there isn't another Wednesday out there, is there? And historically as well, we are one of the oldest professional clubs in the league. And we're from the city that actually invented football. So, he knows of us. And as you said, look, if he can come in and keep us up, my God, his worth is going to be huge. If he keeps us up and we keep him, then next season, I don't really want to push for the Premiership, to be honest, but to finish sort of top half of the Championship, then somebody's going to come in and take him away from us. And for his career, he's 34 years old. What a fantastic stepping stone. And you know what? If we do go down, but we go down with a massive fight and not a whimper, his CV will still look good, won't it?
I was going to say that. I think not so much he's in a no lose, because obviously if he only gets a couple of points between now and the season, then I don't think he'll last. But he has got a massive job, and any indent into it, and especially keeping us up, would be fantastic. Charlie, what's your thoughts on Danny Rule? Do you think his family just thought Sheffield looks lovely?
Yeah,
it's very green. The weather.
Yeah. I think. I mean, any vacant management's position is there because either somebody's retired or more likely somebody's got the sack. So anytime you come in, you're coming into something that weren't really working or hasn't worked for whatever reason. And sometimes that might be like a little thing. Sometimes it might be a terrible, great big thing. In our particular situation, it was dire. Like, we were absolutely, historic worst season. You don't have to know anything about us. You only have to know enough about football to know that you can come in and be a hero. You literally are coming in right at the point when, if this were a rom-com, this is like halfway through, she's just lost a job, she's lost everything, she's crying on the bridge. That's where the handsome guy comes in. He's the handsome guy. He comes in, he picks it all up, because why would you not be drawn to that story? Like, why would you not be drawn to like the drama of it, like the magic of it? And while, like you say, it's not exactly like he's got it doesn't matter what he does, because obviously he needs to do something, but anything was going to be an improvement. If you're going to lose every game, not losing every game is already an improvement. Even if you draw 3 games, that's like, wow, a draw, a point. Like, so, and I think again, that there's definitely, we're an old club with a good loyal following, and there's going to be a lot to be said for that. Like, from the minute he would have done his first home game, he would have seen what we're all about. And if you're interested in that, you're interested in really getting invested in a club, that's the only real reason I can think that he would have done it. And sort of, because he'll have met Chansiri, and that in itself's like a little test in it. And he'll have seen kind of everything, and he'll have a lot more information than we'll have about what's really going on and what sort of, everything really looks like sort of behind the scenes. And he'll have seen that there's an investment for him to make in this club, and the club to make in him. And I don't think he'd do it as a stepping stone. I think it's a hell of a lot of effort to put in for something that's just a stepping stone, because there's no guarantee he will come out of it smelling like roses. Like, either he keeps us up or we get relegated, but we still look good. I mean, that's quite an ask of anybody to make yourself looking that shiny. He must know that there's a chance that it could all go down, and he could go down with the ship. So yeah, I think it's the drama of it, I think, is what attracts him. And I think, great, good, because we need a hero to come in and do that. So yeah.
Don't you think the Wednesday job at the moment is like that time when you're on Football Manager and you get sacked and you think, right, I'll dive into another club, and put these list of clubs up and you're like, what the fuck are they? So you have a look at it and you're like, oh, actually, look at the size of the stadium. Yeah, I like that. I'll have a go at that. Budget. Not great, but maybe could loan a couple of players and that. So.
That's it.
Budget not great. That's a bit of an understatement, that one, John. I think, isn't it? Yeah. Budget not great. So we're getting up to nearly an hour, so I'm gonna have to bring it back, and we'll have a quick look forward to Saturday's game, shall we? Shall we just wrap it up? Yeah, I know we've all had fun talking about, I don't know, duck-sized elephants, elephant-sized ducks, and all that. Birmingham, Saturday. Like, Wayne Rooney is having a bit of a time of it as well, isn't it? I mean, just purely on that side little story, we paced them just how Birmingham have acted. And I think a lot of football fans of other clubs, and obviously Birmingham City fans, agree, because they're going through it. Rooney's obviously, I think he's got 1 point in his 5 games, I think it is. Birmingham, I mean, is it a must? I was going to say it must win. It's not a must win, but it's a game that not yet. There's another 30 odd games, isn't there? So it's not a must win mathematically, but for a good performance, and obviously if a win comes as a 1-0 off someone's arse, it is. So, John, what's your thoughts? Birmingham, Rooney.
Yeah, well, I know we see it in jest when we see, like, Birmingham's not won since this, that, and then all Owls fans chiming, yeah, but we're rolling into town, so you'll get your first win. And, like with the charity club helping other clubs out, since 1867 and all that. But we've got to win at some point. I don't know. I'm feeling this last week. Yeah, I know we beat Rotherham, obviously, but we drew another one. I'm feeling this week off. He's had a good crack at him on training ground and everything, and I think he'll have got him worked up for this one. And I'm sensing a win here. I'm sensing which would be the first away win, wouldn't it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm sensing a first away win here. I'm going for an Owls edgy 1-0 win.
An edgy 1-0 win. I mean, I'd take any win, I think. Any win. Simon?
Hasn't he done sort of some mini pre-season or something that they've been doing some sort of mini pre-season? So this is probably the first time he's had time to really look at the players over a couple of weeks, of which obviously he's not had. It wasn't like when Cisco took him over to Murcia and then basically ditched half of them and sent Marvin Johnson off to Dubai. I wasn't there, obviously, due to other reasons, the Millwall game, so I can't comment on that. But my last game was Bristol away, and up until the point that Bannon got sent off and afterwards, we looked the better side. So, look, if we can keep all the players on the pitch, then I don't see a reason why we can't win the game. He's got to have instilled a little bit more of his ethics, his ethos into the side, which can only be a good thing. We've just got to get rid of those lapses of concentration. And as Charlie alluded to earlier on, if we are looking a little bit dodgy at the back, so to speak, we need to be scoring more than one goal. We won so many games last season 1-0. There were so many 1-0s last season, weren't there? That we need to be at least putting 2 in the back of the net. So then it takes the pressure off the keeper, whoever that might be, and the back four, because every single one of them has got a mistake in them. Mm-hmm. So I'm going for a win because I'd like to stick it to Wayne Rooney too, because I just think I think it's actually probably more to do with the board of directors at Birmingham City, not actually Wayne Rooney himself, of how they treated the previous manager, because I thought it was disgusting. And so far, I don't think Wayne Rooney's a bit of a Frank Lampard, isn't he? I don't think he's had a great deal of success wherever he's gone, really. No. So, look, let's go for a win. 2-0.
2-0. Charlie?
Yeah, I agree. I think, since Rule had joined, he's not had time to sit down and, take his coat off. So I think this has been this is the opportunity for him to really sort of tighten things up and see what he wants. And I think I totally agree with exactly what's been said. There's so much that we've seen that means we should be and can be winning games. And it's just really nice when it's against people like Wayne Rooney, because I've never forgiven him for how much he was spitting last time we were at Hillsborough. The man spits constantly, endlessly, like a cow, just constantly spits on the floor. And for me, that is a good enough reason for us to win. I was quite on the fence about what we did before, but because it's Rooney, no, I actually do think we need to win now. So that'll learn him for spitting.
It was funny when you said...
It took out... Oh, sorry, go on, John.
No, I was just saying, it's funny when you said he hadn't got time to take his coat off, because he does when he stands on the sideline with tracksuit on and everything, and little white trainers, and you can just see socks poking out and that. It looks like one of them car wash attendants that you go, and you rock up at it. So yeah, get his coat off for sure. But
I'd like to say before, I just want us to win, for us to win, and Danny to get his first win, but also on the side thing of just beating Birmingham. And they were 6th when they sacked Gary Rowett, and now they're 18th. So, look, we've sacked our manager. We were bottom of the league with no wins, and they've sacked. For me, I'd love to have been Birmingham's position 6th, being up there. But for whatever reason, this supposedly American investor group that wanted a so-called big name, and Rooney's obviously been in America for a few years, come over and
Tom Brady on board as well, hasn't he?
Apparently so. Yeah, he's been seen in a couple of pubs in Birmingham. I don't know why he'd want to do that, but
and people say that Chansiri's batshit crazy. It's just...
he is though, isn't he?
Which he is.
Which he is.
They all are.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but my God, there's levels of batshit crazy. And like you say, being 7th in the league to bring somebody in who has no managerial experience, no managerial success, and reduce them to what they are now. Jesus, wept. You imagine the banners?
Oh.
There would be many.
By the way, probably haven't got time, but Matt dropped a right bomb on the question there. I don't know if you've seen it, about the Matt Strickland. About the blades and good.
Yeah, well, I know. I thought it was. I was going to end on thing, but it's just a straight no from me. So, cheers. Yeah, no, I think we're all in. Good question, Matt, but no.
Yeah, cheers, Matt, but no.
Right, thank you very much, guys, for joining us. Everyone listening, watching, thank you very much for this. Not really special, but a different episode, a live episode of the Wednesday week. We're going to probably do more of these in the future. Probably not on the same night as England play because,
What's the score?
It's been devastating to have you in figures.
Yeah. No. Hey, we've got more than I thought. So thank you,
thanks.
3 of you that's listened and watched. Thank you. It's 1-1. Grealish has equalised apparently.
Oh, fantastic!
I think it may be. I might be wrong on that one. But yeah. Once again, everyone, check out our socials. We're here every week doing this, and we've got more episodes coming out. There's a Hello from the Other Side to preview against Birmingham, and then we'll be back next week on Monday. We've got a My Wednesday coming out on Friday as well, so tune in for that. But thank you very much as always. Really appreciate everyone. Like, subscribe, and all that, what usual YouTubers people do, do all the buttons and all that. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again. Thank you.